call movable type. The skinned sheep were put into a coffin. Hollow out a hole under the coffin, and then light a fire to roast. When the day dawns, you can open the door and eat meat. That year, the switch was flipped, but the mutton was gone. What replaces this is a charred ladies who are burned. You damn bastard, you brought a coffin home. Are you trying to curse me to die, or your mother? Don't be angry, I'm just greedy for the liver. Did you forget about that thing with Chin Yun Chin? You still dare to eat? Immediately take the coffin away. If you dare to make coffin meat, I will disown you as my son. Okay, Dad, I'll listen to you. I won't do anything. My uncle ran out in a huff, and the coffin was placed in my family's yard. My grandmother slowly walked to the coffin and touched it with her hand. Then she frowned. Old man, come over here quickly. What are you doing here? I'm going to find someone to get rid of this coffin. It's been in the yard for a long time. Oh, come over here quickly. This coffin is very large and has a burnt smell. It's disgusting. I also stared at the coffin carefully, and my face changed. Is this coffin? Could it be? I think it is. The coffin from 7 years ago was carried away. I saw it with my own eyes. Yes, it shouldn't be here. Don't worry so much. I'll go find someone to help and lift the coffin. Before long, I found 7 or 8 robust boys to carry the coffin. However, despite their efforts, the coffin did not budge. It could not be lifted. You're packing your coffin. Why is it so heavy? I also knocked on the coffin with my hand. The sound was dull. There must be something inside, seeing that I did not speak. To take out the stuff inside. San Chan was about to open the coffin, but was hit on the head by a shoe. The younger uncle came back from outside with only 1 foot. Get out, all of you. Who gave you permission to touch the coffin? You damn bastard. You still know how to come back. Tell me, where did this coffin come from, and what's inside? My friend gave me this coffin, and I promised to treat him. To the opening of the coffin. None of you are allowed to take away this coffin. When Junior Uncle said these words, his eyes were looking at the warehouse, as if there was someone there. And I also looked towards the warehouse, but there was nothing there, and my face also became bad-looking. Sorry, everyone, this coffin will not be carried anymore. I also have a bit of prestige in the village. I usually treat the villagers well, and those young people don't care. After I sent these people to the door, I turned and spoke to me, as if you're going to your third paternal uncle's house to live. When I finished saying this, I closed the wooden door. Strangely, I found that the guardian deities on the wooden door were gone. I didn't want to go to my third master's house. The big black dog in his house was particularly ferocious. So I pushed the door and went back to the courtyard. I also saw me go into the yard, first confused. Then he signaled for me not to make a sound, and I saw my uncle jump down from the coffin. He took a knife and went straight to the sheepfold. Then he dragged out the biggest sheep. Stop dawdling and come help out already. My grandma said these words to me. Their faces were deathly pale as they stood there expressionless, as if they had lost their souls. I was just about to go over and help when my uncle spoke again. We don't need you anymore. The 2 of us can handle slaughtering the sheep. I am sure that I heard it right. My uncle said we both. I looked at my uncle, but there was no one beside him. I went over to help, and then forced a laugh with difficulty on my face. Mingshen, you be more sensible. How can you let the guest kill the sheep? Give me the knife. Yes, how can you let the guest kill the sheep? You go into the house and sit down first. The sheep meat can only be eaten tomorrow morning. I'm not lying to you. The sheep meat is especially delicious. I nodded, ran to the warehouse to get a rope. I also used the rope to bind the 4 legs of the goat. My grandma took out an iron basin from the house, although I am 60 years old. But I have strength. She carried the goat and placed it on the bench. My grandma held the goat, and my uncle also went over to help. He grabbed the head of the goat, and a weird smile appeared on his face. Subconsciously, I looked at the goat's eyes, and there were 2 figures in his eyes. One was my uncle, and the other was the burnt lady. If you are afraid of killing sheep, go into the house. Don't get in the way here. I was awakened a lot by my grandma's roar. I just wanted to talk when I heard the goat scream, and I also cut the goat's throat with a knife. The goat's blood flowed into the iron basin, and before the goat's blood was drained, my uncle snatched the knife from my grandpa's hand. He peeled the goat skillfully, and his body and face were splashed with goat's blood. What are you all doing? Make a fire? I also nodded helplessly as she piled up the wood. My grandma brought straw to light the fire. The fire was ready, leaving only the coffin. Mingshen, this coffin is too heavy. Can you ask your friends to help? Come on, let's lift it together. A coffin that 7 or 8 young people couldn't lift was lifted by my uncle and the others. The coffin was suspended onto large stones. The fire on the ground was burning vigorously. I also opened the coffin board. A foul burnt smell rushed over. I endured the nausea and looked over. I found that the coffin was covered with handprints. There are also scratches. Shocking. Soon my grandpa put the peeled goat in the coffin, covered the lid. Mutton fat flowed out from the hole under the coffin, fell on the fire, and made a sizzling sound. Mingshen, when is your friend going to leave? He left after eating the coffin, mate. Okay. Suddenly the gate to my courtyard opened and Teacher Zhang and his son Zhangwen walked in. Oh, your family is making sacrificial meat and didn't even tell us. The two of us smelled it all the way here. Uncle, I was the one who helped you catch those sheep. Why didn't you tell us you were having meat? It's sacrificial meat, so as to need to try some. Fourth uncle, the sacrificial meat won't be done until tomorrow morning. I'll tell Beofu to call you when it's ready. Don't wait here. It's cold outside. Why not? It's not even the coldest part of winter yet. When we had sacrificial meat a few years ago, everyone sat together and watched. It was so lively, unlike that woman named Wang Lan. She didn't have to die anywhere else. She had to die in a coffin. Bad luck. As soon as Teacher Zhang finished speaking, I felt a chill and hurriedly covered his mouth. Fourth uncle, you can't talk nonsense. I heard that woman died unfairly. She was tricked. That's just what people say. She wouldn't be able to run into the mountains with a man and go collecting wood by herself. She had to have been tricked. Stop it. That's enough. Hurry up and leave. What do you mean, you lousing? You're chasing me out. Hurry and leave. Fine, I'm going. Teacher Zhang stood up abruptly and headed for the door. Zhang Wan stood watching with furrowed brow. Uncle, what's the matter with you? Watch him. Don't let him talk nonsense. What are you still standing around for? Here we come. Go to the house to sleep. Grandpa, Grandma, aren't you going to sleep in the house? Let you sleep, you sleep. Do not need you to worry about my grandpa's stuff. Early in the last 2 days, I smelled the smell of meat. From the door, Jade ran to the yard to eat. My uncles and they were there. My grandfather and my grandma opened the coffin. I swallowed in my clothes. Mingshen, the cracked meat is ready. Let your friends taste it. My friends left. Oh, gone. When did they leave? Gone yesterday night. Gone yesterday night. Why didn't you say it earlier? Where did they go? Teacher Zhang left just now, so did he? He didn't let me tell you. After my uncle said this, he stretched his waist and slowly walked towards the house. I got up again, kicked the coffin to the ground, and the mutton inside fell out. Something big is going to happen. He must have gone to John Lousey's house. Old man, don't go. It's not easy to send him away, so don't provoke him. I can't just watch John Lousey die. He's a fellow villager who lived for half a lifetime. I have to go. After saying this, my grandfather walked towards the door, and I followed. The fence of John Lousey's house is very short, and a coffin is placed in the yard. Surrounded by dozens of people, when Zhang Wen saw me coming, smiled. Uncle, come into the yard. Wenzi, where's your father? My father is in the house. Dad, Uncle Yu is here. Come out quickly. No need. I'll go find him. Leopard husband, you play by yourself, and you will have the coffin opening meat later. After Zhang Wen finished speaking, he went to work. I stood there and waited for them to come out. After a few minutes, I came out with Zhang Laozi. They were laughing and talking. You don't have to leave. Stay and eat the coffin opening meat. Let's have a drink together. Okay, I won't leave. I and Zhang Laozi walked towards the coffin. When passing me, I saw that Zhang Laozi's neck was obviously longer. Like someone was pulling his head, and the sky was getting dark. The skinned sheep was put in the coffin. Zhang Wen lit a fire under the coffin, and the mutton fat fell into the fire, making a sizzling sound. A dozen people gathered around the coffin, chatting. I'll get some wood in the barn. After Zhang Laozi said this, he went into the barn. But after a long time, Zhang Laozi did not come out. Why didn't this man come out? I'll go and have a look. Come here quickly. What did you see? Oh, there is a ram in this barn. Zhang Wen drove the ram out, and the villagers were taken aback and then surrounded it. Don't let it run away. The villagers held knives and ropes in their hands, rushed up, and easily caught the ram, tied it up with a rope, and the ram fell to the ground, wailing. This coffin is big enough to hold a sheep. Several young people held the billy goat down, and Zhang Wen swung his knife and slit the billy goat's throat. The blood splashed all over his face. Zhang Wen peeled off the billy goat's skin and cut several knives on the back of the goat's thigh. Then the two young men carried the billy goat to the coffin and covered it up. This time it was enough to eat. Ha ha! Enough to eat! Enough to eat! Surrounding the coffin for a night, I finally waited until dawn. The smell of mutton wafted in the air, and I rubbed my eyes. He stared at the coffin for a few seconds, then shouted out, "Where's John Lousey?" I was also shocked by the voice, and the villagers were all stunned. Everyone looked around, but John Lousey was not there. It seemed that after he entered the warehouse yesterday, he never came out again. I ate a can of meat. Seeing that no one responded, Jiang ran to the warehouse to find him, and the others followed him into the warehouse. I saw Jiang Laoxi's broken clothes scattered on the floor of the warehouse, with blood stains on them, but the man was gone. I slowly retreated from the warehouse. He squatted on the ground with two heads, looking very painful. Jiang seemed to be crazy, searching for Jiang Laoxi all over the yard, and the sharp-eyed one saw a gold ring on the fire, recognized that it is Jiang Laoxi's ring. Jiang walked to the coffin tremblingly, put his hand on the coffin, and his eyes were red.
张乱颤颤巍巍地走到棺材旁边，他将手搭在棺材上，眼眶发红。
把棺材打开，担子，你别多想，这棺材里装的是羊肉。
对，是羊肉，我们昨天杀的是羊。
你们都下了吗？担子，你可别忘了，昨天是你杀的羊，是你扒的皮，我们都只是帮忙。
对，我们只是帮忙，是你杀了羊。
The villagers dropped these words and ran off, leaving only the three of us in the yard. My father just scolded him a few words, and that's what happened. So what will happen if he kills him? Liu Laozen, you have time to meddle in other people's business. Why not go home and take a look? What's the point? You go back and ask your good son.